Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I appreciate everybody stopping by. Today I'm working on a 16.5 by 11.5 inch canvas. I'm just putting in some light yellow. It's like a Naples yellow with a tiny bit of cadmium yellow in it, but hardly any, and some raw umber light. Now I've just blended those two together and just give them a nice soft blended out. And I'm using the same colour again. I'm just using that 1/2 inch flat brush, and I'm using the raw umber light again. But you can mix this colour if you just use some Naples yellow with some titanium white. So I just wanted to get these in because I wanted to give a bit of a distant feel to this painting, as it's got a nice relaxing autumny moody sky, if you will. Anyway, you'll see that as we move further on, the contrast that I'm looking for. So we have just gone with some burnt umber. It's a really nice dark burnt umber. So again, I'm trying to get the distance in, as you can see. I'm just filling those little hillsides in there. I hope you enjoy this, guys. If you do, leave us a thumbs up. I appreciate that. You can also subscribe by clicking the subscription notice and clicking the little bell thing. And that way you'll see all the videos and everything, all the content I put on my channel, you'll get notified. I've let each layer dry because obviously I didn't want it blending in, so make sure you let each layer dry. Now I've just gone in with a 1 inch flat brush. I've just got some cadmium red deep, and I've just added a tiny little bit of burnt umber to that just to give it a nice dark undertone, because I need a darkish undertone to put on the actual leaves that I'll be applying further on in the video. But I think I do go back in and darken it because it's not dark enough, so you'll see that as well. But this, as it is now at this stage, makes a real pretty painting. But obviously I'm going to add a beautiful autumn leaf tree into this. You can also do these tutorials, feel free to do that as well, that's not a problem. You can share these out on your social media platforms also to your friends. That'd be a nice thing to do. So I've let it all dry, and I'm just going in here with a bit of titanium white and a tiny bit of that Naples yellow again, because I just want a bit of a lighter spot in the middle of that tree. And I've gone in with that dark colour again that I used in the foreground of the hills, that really dark burnt umber with a tiny little bit of black in it, just to get the trunks of the trees in. Still using a flat brush. I think it's just quite easy to use a flat brush, but an angle brush would be great as well, or any brush you're comfortable with. I really like the contrast in this. I enjoy painting it also. It's got a nice feel to it, that beautiful sky at the back, which you'll see as we get further on how it all comes together and really shows that sky off, because we've got the nice contrasting feel to it as well. I'm adding quite a few branches here. I'm just using a sword brush. It's like an angle brush, but it's just a bit more pointy at the end. It's just cut slightly different to a normal angle brush. They're called sword brushes or wedge brushes. Any comments, guys, you can leave me a comment and I'll get back to you also in the comment section. Like I said, I'm putting quite a few in here because there will be some showing through, so I wanted the actual branches in, so we won't be covering them all up. So I made sure I put plenty in. And if you do put too many in, obviously you can cover them up with the actual leaves. Because this tree hasn't actually gone bare yet, as in dropped all its leaves, there are still some leaves attached. That's why I wanted all the branches in. I'm still with that nice little sword brush, which is great for fine lines as well, as you can see here. Some extra little fine detail. I'm just adding a bit of red there because I want a bit more contrasting, like a bit of a glow going on in these foreground hills. So just added a bit of that cadmium red deep. I'll straighten up some of them hills because some of them I wanted a bit more prominent, as you can see there. But look how it gives that beautiful distance as well, like there's rolling hills going really far back into the distance, which is a cool effect if you wanted to create that look in your artwork. Obviously this is evening, the sun's going down, and I've captured that mood just great. I think it looks really cool, especially when we get all the leaves and the foreground leaves put in. Now, as you can see, I'm darkening here again. So I've gone back in with the same mixture, but I've just added a bit more blacky blue to it. So I've added a bit of black to that red and a bit more blue, which is a dark blue I've used. It's like an indigo blue, but you could have Prussian blue as well. That's pretty cool. Now I've made sure that's really dry properly, so I've just dried it off. I'm coming in with that mixture we used before I covered it up really dark with that red. And I'm just putting some underground leaves here in the pictures you can see as the actual base of the leaves. But I'm leaving some dark sections that I've just applied because we want them to, contrast against the actual leaves that we're putting in. And it's not just like a blanket of colour. Make sure you leave some of your darks because they're quite important when you're trying to create a 3D object. I'm still using that little brush, that little sword brush, because I thought it's working for me quite well up to yet, so I just stick with it. But you could use a little round brush. This would be also cool for this project as well, putting the leaves in. So I'm building them up. I'm using the same colours. I'm just keeping it fairly contrasted against that really dark. But as you see, as we get further on, you'll see all the leaves come to life. So it's just a case of just dotting them in, just a loose leaf shape. Don't go mad on actually doing every leaf individual. Well, you could do, but it'd take you forever. But you could, you know what I mean? I'm just loosely applying this in. Yes, it gives a thumbs up, guys. I do appreciate that. And sharing the videos, it does help, create me content as well because more people see it and it encourages me to create more artwork for y'all, which is a nice thing to do. So same here, I'm using that cadmium red deep. I've just added a tiny bit of cad red medium, not too much, because obviously they want to be a bit lighter on the actual branches than the application I put on the actual floor because you've got the actual light shining through. So I've just changed the colour slightly. You can see it's just a little bit brighter, but not too bright because we've got a couple of layers to put on. This would be beautiful in any home, framed and that. It makes a really nice visual looking painting. It's nice to look at all year round, not just autumn time, obviously, if you like doing trees and landscapes. I'll link some more videos into my autumn scenes as well, and you can maybe create a playlist if you want and put that in your playlist. So you can see this brush is really cool. I stick with it, like I said, because it's working really good for me. I can press it down a bit harder to get some more thicker applications. Plus I've got the tiny little tip just to do the actual delicateness of the actual tiny leaves, like I'm doing here. So the foreground's dry now, so I'm coming back in with that mixture I've just put on the trees, the actual tree, which is a bit lighter with the cad red deep and cad red medium. So you can see it looks a lot brighter already. But my point is saying that never go too light too soon because you will lose the contrast in your artwork. And I think that's what people struggle with. A lot of people do struggle with it. But as you get more a seasoned painter and a bit more paintings under your belt, you tend to figure things out. But like I say, I'm here to help you guys out the best I can. If there's any questions, just drop me a comment and I'll answer it for you. So now I'm just doing more leaf shapes. I'm not doing it as loose now, so I'm just paying a bit more attention to the actual shapes by the colour I'm applicating now on the foreground. So they're just like little discs, if you will, just like little not V shapes, little semicircles, but flat. Because you don't want them like coming down, because that will indicate like the leaves are falling. So try and keep them level if you can. I mean, it's different when you're doing the actual leaves on the branches, because they're still attached to the branches, so they'll be like hanging different angles. So we have just let all that dry again, and I've just added a bit of cadmium orange to that mixture. So same mixture before, and I've just added a tiny bit of cadmium orange. Now I didn't add white because white will turn it pink, and I didn't want a pink tree. Well, you could do if you wanted a pink tree, but I didn't. I wanted it red. So that's why I went with the cadmium orange, just to lighten the value. And I'm not going everywhere like I did before by putting the first lot of leaves in. I'm just going here and there and just building it up gradually. So use that contrast as well, so you can still see the dark leaves underneath. Same mixture again here. And like you see again, I'm not doing it everywhere. I'm just doing it where you can, more in the foreground where the viewer's eye is going to be, and where the actual light will be shining lower on the ground. So not as much as the back, as at the back of the painting, more in the foreground and mid-ground. But I do recommend that you do let everything dry, because it will like mush into one if the paint's still wet. So you want that nice, crisp, fresh feel to your painting. So make sure everything's dry and then start with your next layer. So we're back on the tree again. So I've added a bit more, less cadmium red deep. So I've gone with more cad red medium and more cadmium orange this time. And you can see how that just pops out just a little bit more than it did before. Same here. I'm going in irregular patterns here just to break it up slightly so it looks a bit more organic and a bit more realistic, rather than the same colour all the way through the actual leaves on the foreground. So as you can see in the middle of the tree on the foreground there where the tree is, it's a bit more shaded, which that would naturally happen. I'm just adding a bit of greenery here, some like green bushy type grasses, because I thought it'd look pretty cool in the painting as well, for the composition also. And red and green, they look really cool together, especially in your artwork. So just started off with really dark base of the green, and I just lightened it slightly by adding some cadmium yellow to the actual green. Putting some extra little branches here with this little dagger brush, which is really cool, by the way. Just to give it that nice feel that there's just them straggly little branches. Just straightening that line up slightly there. Not in any darker values. I'm just checking the shapes. I've got all the shapes I wanted in. Right. Now I'll let this dry completely, because I want to go and do a bit of glazing like I've done here with this red. That little red bit of a tonal bit that I did. That was a nice thin glaze. It's just at the side of the tree there on the hills, just to make it glow slightly. I'm doing the actual same thing at the top of the tree here that you can see now in the video. So it's just a nice thin glaze of a nice wash of it's like a burnt umber with a tiny bit of quinacridone red in it, and I've thinned it out really thin with some glazing medium. Now I've let that dry because I wanted it to darken the tops up, so it'll just give the painting a nice feel and compositionally bring it in together just nice. And then you've got your nice highlights of your brighter red bits reflecting. Same again, I'm just glazing again because that's all dry. So I just want to bring them leaves together so they're not standing out too much and competing with the actual tree. So I've gone with the red. Now I've come back with, it's an actual, it's not pink, it looks pink on there, but it's actually called Brilliant Magenta, which you can use quinacridone magenta also. Another thin glaze there, as you can see, the same colour I've applied there. I think it just brings that nice little pop of colour to it as well. But I think it brings it all together nicely and it looks really cool visually. You got a nice contrasting sky in the background too. Well, thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like I said, give us a thumbs up, I appreciate that. And I'll see you soon on my next video. Bye for now.